Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome back to the Alchemist and The Oracle, a space where we engage in spiritualized conversations that deepen understanding, inspire transformation, and spark meaningful dialogue about life's most profound truths. I am Nicole Love, the Oracle, and as always, I'm joined by my amazing co-host, Warriors Ardashir Aren, better known as the Alchemist. So this episode is a continuation from the previous episode. So go watch that. You can pause it and go watch that first. I don't think it really matters the order of things, but we're continuing our conversation about love. And what I think is really ironic is on my phone, I have the insight timer, and every day it gives a new quote. And I'm going to read the quote. It says, "Love is the only way to grasp another human being in the innermost core of his personality." And that's by Viktor Frankl. And I think that so aligns with like what we're going to go into and talking about the different levels of meaning when it comes to love, like the relational aspects of it. So how do you define love, Warriors Ardashir Aren?
It's just an innate connection to who I've always known myself to be, especially in this body. From even a child, may have pulled some essence from my mother, and my grandmother. We've always served people in caring for them type of way. My mother used to drive a bus for mentally challenged adults. They used to call it something else. I'm not going to say the word now. I'm pretty sure I have. And my grandmother served people. I mean, she was a chef, had owned what I understand, a successful restaurant with her mother's baby sister, her aunt. And then she did hairdressing in her basement, and she was also a private duty nurse. She has always done, and she had her own stores in town. And then my mother did a lot of work capture. People just loved her, and just certain experiences. Mother always said was in a hospital before I was born. I think that's where she met my dad. But and then the service work, that I've done, and just looking at me, just coming up and being very observant, and one that didn't say much not unless I was comfortable. If I was comfortable, then it is. Other than that, I don't say much. I have to check you out, come to find out before, I get there. But love is just that innate thing, as we were saying. It would be good to see the other video, and even though sometimes spirit takes us off track, is always connected. One of the bigger things that I think that I'll talk about in this episode, along with the different aspects, is self-love. And I have some definitions for that. And
let's start with that type of love.
Because I think it's a love that we forget. Because, prior to us connecting, I did SWIT 1, Spiritual Warriors in Training 1, live. And I was in the Compassion Tribe. And at that time, I was dealing with a provider. And I mean, it still took me a while, because the ego is a trip because of our self-talk sometimes. And she had gave me this book that I was tempted to go through called Compassion. It was about compassion. It was interesting that Spirit chose that, because it wasn't chosen by them. I don't know how it was done, and it was just really, really interesting that I ended up in the Compassion Tribe, and then to end up in the Love Tribe. So it's like, okay, this is personal, and so much more. And so there's a couple of things I'm gonna read about it, but I circled one thing about self-love. So one of the first things I got that from Google. This other one is a more personal one that I got from one of my other um, areas where, I'm growing so I can get more into coaching, transformatively, so people can live, their best and aligned lives. So an appreciation of one's own worth or virtue. Self-love begins when we observe our actions and words and with compassion as if we are our own best friend. That's one of them. The second one means having a high regard for your own well-being and happiness. Self-love means taking care of your own needs and not sacrificing your well-being to please others. And that one is a deep one.
Mm.
Because a lot of when we do that, we sacrifice our own happiness for that of the other ones. It's also about that cup. If your cup hasn't been refilled or redone, how can you serve somebody else? And also, there's something that RuPaul says is if you can't, it's like love yourself. If you can't love yourself, how can you love anybody else?
Oh yeah, how the
Can I
hell
get an
can you
amen?
love some? Yeah, I used to love her talk show that she had. You remember that?
A little bit, and the thing of it is I didn't get into it, and I think it was because of how I was working. But now I have binge watched RuPaul's show, and I didn't realize how good it was. And right now in the current show, we
Oh,
got
Drag Race, RuPaul's Drag Race.
yeah, girl, I didn't really know how good it was, man. So now in the current show, we got somebody from the land in there, and they doing pretty good. They could win this shit, and I'm gonna track them down. Because I'm taking my goddaughter. Actually, this week we're going to a drag show. So, and they've always been so loving, man. I mean, so cool, right?
Yeah,
So now this other one is the one I like. Self-love is the practice of valuing and nurturing oneself with compassion, respect, and kindness that we give to others. We need to give to ourselves. And it's not the other type of love, which is narcissistic or nothing like that. So I just added that in. It involves recognizing and honoring one's, when I talk about, the essence, one's intrinsic worth, embracing strength and accepting imperfections without judgment. That's the things that judge myself so critical. We got to stop being so critical. When I'm critical, trying to honor my body, I don't like scars. I know this, but I have to honor them. People seem to like your scars. I'm like, I don't know what's up with that, but and then here's the
they're
just
just honoring and meeting you where you are.
yeah. I mean, and then self-love is about prioritizing your needs and well-being, establishing healthy boundaries, and making choices that align with your true self. Going within your true self. Yay.
Yes, and amen.
And through self-love, you can cultivate a deep sense of self-awareness, acceptance, leading to greater resilience, confidence, and for fulfillment. And it helps you to empower and navigate your life with authenticity, purpose, fostering healthier relationships and having a more harmless existence. And by practicing your self-love, you create a foundation of inner peace and contentment, allowing you to extend love and compassion to others more genuinely. There, that. But that true self thing, the non-judging part,
Mm.
yeah,
So
like
what
going in the mirror, the self-talk.
I always, I always, so when I work with people and also myself, because I really do focus on practicing what I preach.
Yeah,
It always goes back to yourself
exactly.
because like self love is the foundation of all other types of love because the way that you have a sense of love of self, it impacts the way you can give and you receive love from others. But it always comes back to you. Like your capacity to give yourself love is a demonstration of your capacity to, like, how do you give that love to other people? And so it's so important to have that awareness of the importance of self love, it being the foundation of all other types of love, like you're saying. And how you talk about like self love encompasses like self acceptance, self
Mm-hmm.
compassion, right? I feel is so
Mm-hmm.
so important. And from those things, you're able to maintain like those a sense of personal boundaries because you have the love of self um, as well. So is really really important. What are some practices that you have, or how do you go about showing yourself love? I find so many people struggle with that, and I mean like
They
a
do. Yeah, I struggle
realistic
with it.
explanation. I don't mean like go get your nails painted, get your hair done. Like those are all great things. I mean like at a soul level. Let's stand in our warrior hood here.
I
Ooh,
I
not the laugh.
need, well, the deepness for me has been to honor the soul that came into this world, the essence of who I am and how I love and who I love on a intimate basis. Not just my friend intimacy, like what you and I have, God, that people still would have that all twisted, but don't twist it. That's why you need to watch the former video. So I'm just saying. But if I can put in this video is that like soul, like that soul, like we said, most people think a soulmate is just somebody that you and all the other stuff with. And I can still hug you, but it won't, it's different. And so it's just like it's just like my best dude in the other state, that just connection. Could we have it? I mean, I had that closing, but I knew that I would not be able to give myself. So the thing was to honor that and share. And I mean, I was afraid at one point back yonder then, it's been a minute, because I cared and because I figured I would lose their friendship, but they were a whole unique soul that is still very much in my life. And still, I mean, he's still the man that I let him be, over dinner. And then, of course, I'll do something. And I know he's the type of dude just, he likes to give and that. So to receive, I'm like, no, I got dinner this time, or something like that, what's up. So, but for the most time, I allow not to block his blessing. So, and it was just that connection. So for me, with myself, is connecting with the true essence of who I am and not giving a sh long I, about what anybody about what
Long eye.
anybody think.
Would you like me to
Yeah,
say it for you? Would you like me to say it on your behalf?
but you'll add the T. I told somebody, I said, my friend said, how can you say that, but you can't say the other word, even though I know the etymology of the FN with K word. And so, and before people get in, oh, you spiritual and all that, I said, learn the word before you go all off into some other tangent and cut off the video, for instance. So not to give I said I would say it and just hang the eye, not giving a shit about what nobody thinks. Ain't nobody missing about what anybody thinks. That you get to know me for the heart, for the love that I am. And I mean, you know, without telling you, so don't just be my friend, because I'm a loyal son of a gun. I'll be the best freaking friend you could ever have. I'll be the best intimate friend your ass could ever have. So, you know, And when you tap into that nature of yourself, you don't have to be anything other than who you are. But the ego still try to come up in my mess. And I'd be like, I have to say no. It's just like being here openly on this video. I mean, sharing with the world the nature and how to stand in the truth of who you are. So to connect with that is just to honor it. It's just to honor because you are who you are. You are the nature of who you are. If you choose love, then you have success. It's not that we're not going to go through anything. And we talk about that in the essence of getting a closer relationship with God, source creator, whoever you choose to call your higher power. Because we all have one, whether we want to believe it or not. Because if you recognize that we're in control of everything, you find out things ain't going quite really, really well. And then we wonder why, because we won't sit back and just connect with our true selves. That things that tell you to take a right and you say go left, no, you should take the right because you don't need to know what's left. You don't need to know what's going over there and why you're being told not to go left and you need to turn right. And I use driving examples for examples of my intuition. And when I didn't listen, the stuff that occurred. So that is connecting with the love and honoring my body. I'm still working on honoring my scars because things show up here, and I had an incident in DC where I fell on the escalator. So
Mm.
so honoring my scars is to honor my love and how I survived those scars. So So those are some of the things that I've come to where, and I walk, or I have revelations or aha moments or self-awareness moments, and a lot of us are not self-aware. We're not self-aware of the love we are because we choose to get it from outside. Nobody can love you better than you can love yourself from the inside out. And then track that, you have to know who you are to actually track the love connection that you really want to grow forth with you so you can be in joy and not in drama and chaos. So yeah.
Hmm. That's that's a real um that's a real answer. Thank you for that.
Hmm.
Um, I'll quickly piggyback on how I
Sure.
actively practice self-love for myself. It's really being honest about my feelings and not escaping them.
Oh, that too.
So I've gotten really comfortable being with myself and checking in with myself and not running away from the emotions. I find a really good way to get a barometer with how I'm feeling the love of self is how I may be frustrated with the people in my life that I identify that I love and care about,
Mm-hmm.
like the
Mm-hmm.
frustration. Because I've
Mm.
recognized that when I'm, especially with like my partner, whenever I'm like deeply frustrated with him, I ask myself, okay, is this about him? Sometimes it is about him from the standpoint of me not communicating effectively what I would like to have in terms of our relationship, like connection,
Right.
essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And other times it serves as a reminder of the self-care that I'm seeking for myself, but I'm able to recognize it outside of myself, like my frustration. So, prime example, I was frustrated with my partner a couple months ago where um, I had said something like, you don't make time for I don't remember what it was exactly, but what I realized instantly when I said it, I was like, oh, that wasn't about you, that was about me. And one thing
Mhm.
that we've gotten to in our relationship is that he pauses a lot when we talk to
Mhm.
see, to really kind of like wait to see, really like read me, is like, okay, is this her just verbalizing and working through like her emotions, and she'll come back to like realizing like this is what it means. um so that has allowed me to kind of like catch myself in the moment, and so I realized like, oh, I need to spend more time with myself, because in that
Right.
moment I was having all these client sessions and I was having like all these admin days and like people um trying to schedule things out, and I was just like, over I recognized I was overwhelmed with that because I wasn't prioritizing time with myself.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
that's how I actively engage in a self-care practice, by being honest about how I'm caring for myself, and it starts with checking in with my emotions and asking myself, okay, what is this emotion? And then also I extend that to the emotions that I'm having or experiencing to the people that I care about. I find that that's really a great way to kind of reflect back what um, is lacking within my own care of self.
I like that because we've talked about emotions. And I mean, I've dismissed emotions, not purposely, but obviously because I had to, or thought I had to, especially career wise and some other reasons why, because other people had so much going on that I had no choice but to sit or dismiss them. I have asked myself how I'm feeling because I knew when my aunt passed in November. I was up in the Motor City again, um, and my energy was off, and I was very aware of that.
Right.
Because I try to celebrate life, but I know there was a part of me that wanted to see her before she actually crossed, and I didn't get that opportunity because I wasn't told. I think I might let my first cousin know that, but I just kind of let this kind of go. But we've all lost our mothers. Of that immediate first cousin clan, but on my daddy's side, that is. And it was just interesting to know that it was off, to tell somebody it was off, but nobody could really. I know I got the cousin to hug, the tears, and to honor that, what I was feeling with her gone, even though, and eventually after that moment we celebrated it, and and it's not very seldom where I allow myself to really let go or get loose, or somebody can understand when I'm joking or not. Because if you're not around somebody they don't know, and then other people's reactions can be because of something they experienced before, and that's something we have to be aware of too when it comes to honoring and loving ourselves, but not also loving outwardly. And I saw them since because of something that had went down, but I just realized that sometimes we just have to let go and know that some of our reactions comes from some things that we haven't healed from or released or let go, and then that we honor the love. When we said, when we were talking earlier, do we need more love versus just being the love that we are? People need to be the love that they are. And if we stop letting society define that for us, then we can continue to see the good in the midst of the chaos. And people are going to learn certain decisions, and that you can't base your stuff on what other people say, especially when we're talking, because we were talking the public eye, and rely on one person to do something that we can do on our own if we choose to know the power that we have within. And something that me and you were saying off camera, It referenced me standing in a certain power, and that power does consist of love and honoring your giftedness, which is a gift of love from the creator source, you know,
Yeah.
universe.
Yeah.
The innate thing that gives us breath every day. Somebody say, how you making breathe? You ain't breathing on your own. You ain't doing your heart doing the work.
Yeah.
Taking a deep breath. I like breathing. I know what it is not to be able to breathe.
Mm.
Um, and clean air and things of that nature. So the love that comes is to seep deep and figure out what that is, and then to do those things that are loving to you. It's just loving to me is not being in a smoke filled room or anybody that I love that can have me come over. If you love me, you cannot smoke for, an hour or something. But if that's not the case, then I just have to honor that I can't be in that space. It's
And
just
that's
like,
loving yourself. That's like having that, maintaining that personal boundary that you need in
yeah,
order to feel the sense of love of self.
yes,
For you,
yes,
identifying just like the physical, like I don't like the smoke. Don't smoke around me because I don't want it to impact or influence my physical body.
huge impact on physical body. And then the outwardly love is if somebody, I'll just use this because this is an example all over drinking. So if somebody has an issue to be around drinking, whether it's wine or any beer, whatever, and you're coming by, and I know that you are not in a state where that would be a problem. I mean, I could take it or leave it anyway. I could probably not drink for the rest of my life if I chose to, but that's not what I'm choosing right now because there's a part of me that could give less than a darn, but red wine is good for my blood cells, so I'm good with that. Is that I would not do that because of the love that I have for you while you are working on something that is loving for you. So that's an outwardly or a kind, caring, loving gesture not to do that just because, well, I'm at my house. I'm a drink because I want to drink, but you coming over and I know you got an issue. Then how is that loving? It's not. It's not loving. And then I'm disciplined. So that's all I can say because somebody brought it up.
Mm. Mm.
You discipline your mind, you discipline yourself. Mind over matter. Mind over matter is love. Now, if I'm going to have something, like I've never done a whole bucket of ice cream. Or a whole bag, which I just can't. I
Wait,
can't.
you've never eaten like a whole bag of chips?
Oh God, no. No, not them. I see something like, oh girl, no, oh God, no. And I mean, I love them things. I have to watch them. I
Oh
might get a
God,
few and I see
I can eat an
myself.
entire bag of chips. I really
I mean,
can.
if it's this size, one of them little thingies, that's a serving. Well, sometimes it's
No,
more than
it's
a serving.
not. They're not a serving size. I can eat an entire bag of chips. I can own it. I can eat an entire bag of chips. And I'm
No,
okay with
I
it.
have people that eat. Okay,
You
where's
talking
my
about, are you
hand?
talking about like the Costco size bags where it's like
Well,
family
there is a
size?
big, huge. I don't do Lay's, but I mean, I do the small ones. They just ain't what they used to be to me. But
They're
I eat
not.
them.
They're not.
They're
There's a
not. I just
certain
have to
brand of
keep it
chips that I
real.
like. I think it's called, well, I'm not going to shout out the
There's
brand,
one
but
called. There's
there's one
one.
with the Canyon where they use avocado oil to fry their chips.
Those. Yep. They begins with a B and ends with an R. Those are at
Yes,
Costco. No, they got
those
some
are
crumbs
so
downstairs.
good.
They
Like
got some crumbs that
those
they
are
are good.
okay. Those are the ones that I can eat an entire bag of. The other ones, not so. I had some Lay's and I was eating them, and they're
They're
just
not the
like
same.
they're not. They're so
Mm.
salty and like, mm-mm.
They're not
No.
from what they back in the day when they say you can't eat just one. And when I talk about the love of me, I
Maybe we
mean,
should shout
this,
out the other brand. I said the other. I said shout
I
out the
said
other
it
brand.
begin with a B and end with an R.
Is it what is it? Blue Ridge Canyon,
No, it's Boulder.
Boulder.
It's Boulder. Trust
Okay,
me, it's Boulder.
You're right, because I
It's Boulder.
because it's
It's
I think it's
Boulder.
made in can I think it's made in Colorado.
Somewhere out, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, in avocado oil. Yeah, I have to watch it. But
Those chips are so good.
I got that crunch factor that I never knew was a factor
Boulder
back in the
Canyon.
Yes, Boulder Canyon, yes. Yes,
Boulder
yes.
Canyon chips. They're so good.
I already
We
knew it was
were
Boulder.
are talking about potato chips. I okay. Um so self-love, I always say the most loving thing you can do is to sit with yourself because it honors where you are, and when you have an understanding of where you are, you get to that place of self-awareness. As our amazing spiritual teacher Iyanla Van Zant reminded us during in everything she does, not even spiritual warrior. I'm not even entirely sure that she said this. I think this was in Spiritual Study Sanctuary actually. That
Okay.
it's spiritual it's getting to a place of self awareness towards self acceptance
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
recognizing and remembering that there's nothing wrong with you. It's just the judgment that you
That right
have
there.
in picking yourself apart. So self-love is very powerful, is very powerful. What are some of the so you were talking about another relationship type. Did you want to continue on with self-love?
Just a minute. I
Yeah.
hadn't realized that, like, after my mother, that I was like, I love learning, but like, I've got all these tools, all these things, and there's certain things that you don't need, and all these people coming up. So now I've decided I have to get like off for the love of me. I have to unsubscribe from some emails
I
because I'm
know
just
it's
dealing
getting
with
kind of
Iyanla. I'm
crazy.
just gonna deal with Tony, Dean, and
That's
one
a
other one.
girl, that's a lot just with those two because I think they send too many
Mm.
emails in my opinion
I don't
a
get a
day.
lot.
I feel like just send me one email a day. I don't need more than one a day. It's
Yeah,
too
I'm
much.
not getting a lot from Tony and them. I mean, I'm in the inner circle and a lot of
Is
stuff
that
is
why?
stepping
Because
into
you're in the
that.
inner circle. I'm not. I'm outside the circle.
I don't know, girl.
They're taunting me on the outside. You're not on the inside of the circle.
I don't know,
And
but
I'm
you
like, I don't want to
you
be in your circle. Anyway.
you can go and limit like once a week or something like that. I mean, to get and see
Can
what's
you?
going on to keep in the oh yeah.
I don't even
Yeah.
think I'm with you. I need to look at my emails I get. There's some that just are not
Because
serving my
Brennan
self-love because it
Yeah, because Brendan
overwhelms
Bernard
me.
and all them, I get in them, I can tap in them in how we go, but see, they're all connected with them, and
Oh,
eventually,
Brendan Burchard, they are on
yeah,
that in that little group. I like his because he was my original person that I got my first coach with. Her name was Charlotte.
mm.
Shout out Charlotte. This was like, oh my God, 15 years ago.
Right, right, right.
Goodness, that was such a long time ago. But I like Brendan. I think Brendan is kind of like my level of
Well, I also
coaching
have
access.
something where I'm trying to connect with the angels, more so for the love and the messages that I've been getting to tie even
Mm,
closer to the divine realm. People won't call it hell, I call it divine realm because that's how it's been brought to me. And like I said, there's several movies that I wanted people to look at. But I look at the fact that there was a point in my life where I thought I didn't know it was called this, that I was broken. I think Major Ia mentions brokenness and then the imposter syndrome type stuff,
mm.
but and that you keep learning, trying to fix yourself, trying to fix yourself. And like you just said, she said, there's nothing wrong with us. She said, we all crazy. I call myself crazy good. I think I'm a crazy, but not the crazy that we know. So I be crazy. I should have did it
But
with it.
wait, but see again, this world makes you crazy because it keeps you in that chaos loop. This world is crazy as hell. I mean, girl, look what's going on right now.
I know. I mean, I don't. It's
This
like if
is
I really
like the
need to,
pinnacle of crazy. And the
I
sad
don't
thing
even
is,
get in it.
I think it could get worse than what it is.
Oh, it's already been said. It has already said it. It's already is. And then people are going to see what they need to see So
Yeah, it's purposeful.
hopefully they'll become awakened. They'll get woke, as we said, because actually that video I sent you about the preacher, he mentioned about being awoke. And then we can go back to the song way back in the day, talk about wake up everybody. Listen to those lyrics. Now,
Mm,
if we were to love, if we were actually be able to accept reality as it is, and understanding that regardless to the reality of what's going on in the world, there's still good things going on in the world.
I
And
agree
we
with
try
that.
to have this false fantasy about what it is. Somebody said, well, she said in spiritual study sanctuary just here was over the weekend, and I don't want to use my thought, is that when I say that my dream to have this big home or to have this particular thing to fly in the air, that I'd like to walk up to the tarmac and say, hey, let's go here, there, and, everywhere, and invite some people to do so. They say, don't tell nobody your business. Well, see, it ain't your business anyway. It's my connection with the creator. So basically, if it's in me, it is the essence of the creator having that in me. But I have to believe without a shadow of a doubt of the mustard seed that is talked about, that can manifest itself, and that I have the love within me and the power within me to do so. So
Hmm.
that's the self-love that we have to tap into to manifest these things without having to kill ourselves to do it, or have the
Mm.
toys that you can enjoy because we're working so hard, and to achieve it, to be able to spend that time with family. You have to do that initial work in the interim. And if you have somebody who understands that, and then when you get together with someone in a loving way, then if you are present in that moment, then it could feel like it's 12 hours when it might only be 3. If you are presently in that moment, in the loving moment. So, that love within. But yeah, there's some other aspects, but I think the deepest that we have forgotten about is the self love, because we're looking for it to come from someone else to make us whole. Can nobody make you whole but yourself? You have to be whole with yourself so you can track somebody else that's whole.
Well, it goes back to what you're saying that there's nothing wrong with us. You're not
Mm-hmm.
broken. So essentially,
Yeah.
you're whole. It's just you have to come back to yourself. That's why they say, like, in many different practices, like, come back to yourself, center yourself, ground yourself, um, be alone with yourself. It reminds you that you're whole. You come back to yourself to remember, oh, wait, because when we're out in the world, again, like, I talked about it in the last video, there are entities, there's humans whose purpose, because they've agreed this is my purpose and they're aligned with having this purpose play out. That's their focus, is to insert and to weaponize and to
To disrupt.
demonize,
Yeah.
disrupt
Yeah.
you from remembering your whole.
Yeah.
It's a distraction. It's a distraction. And so when you're seeking constantly outside of yourself, you're going to be bombarded with all these weaponized things and the wickedness of the world.
Indeed.
And the only
Indeed.
way that you can remember that you're whole, that there's nothing wrong with you, there's nothing that really needs to be healed, is to come back to yourself. And it starts with that self love. Because you give
So
yourself
now, yeah,
permission to be with yourself in order to remember who you are.
yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, that's one on. So you're talking about the other aspects, where we're the one I want to hit on is societal, the essence for love and society. says the ability to love and to be loved is considered crucial for human development, fostering cooperation, empathy, and social cohesion. So
Mm.
the one thing that used to be on one of my guys' plate that I knew when I was working in a different state, serving as a public servant, um, was "We Are One." I also believe that's part of one of our guys' song. Um, oh, what's that genre of music? Reggae. Who's our big guy that we
Oh, Bob
know?
Marley.
Huh?
Bob Marley.
Yeah, him. So he had on this place, so I never understood this. So obviously he was very much connected to spirit. So this in the damn, I'm a age myself. Well, anyway, it was in the 90s. So with that being said,
Oh, you are old. I don't remember the 90s.
oh my
Not because
God.
I'm old. I just wasn't around then.
Yeah, whatever.
Allegedly.
Whatever. Whatever.
Allegedly
I
for
don't know.
entertainment purposes only.
Yeah. So I don't even know why I brought it up, but it was the
Mm.
90s. The
Okay.
late night. Oh no, let
Was
me
it the
see. I
early
gotta
90s?
think.
Because the early versus the late were two different eras.
Well, that's true. Well, the 90s, there was a lot of good things that happened. We just didn't take advantage of it, like the stock market. So, well, some people
I
did, if you knew
mean,
about it.
I wasn't that
Yeah.
old to take
Oh,
advantage of the stock
wow.
market, sweetie.
Whatever. All you gotta
I
do is be
wasn't.
18. All you gotta do is be 18.
Yeah, that didn't happen until the
Uh,
late. No,
Let me stop.
ma'am.
Girl, I am young. I have an old soul. So, and then I just found out in Detroit
Everybody's
the
soul is
love and what
old.
that means.
But anyway,
Well, I don't know about all that, but
I think everyone's
ain't
soul is
nobody,
old. I
ain't
really,
nobody telling everybody they have an old soul when they meet them, which is that we know the spirit has been around, and honoring that love and that you have this wisdom, she explained to me. And
uh,
I'm like, okay. But I
oh, I
was
get what
told
she's
that at a
saying. It's
young
like the
age.
soul's expression is
I
in
mean,
that
I
way.
wasn't even 20 years old and somebody was telling me this
Your
mess
old
and young.
soul.
And I'm like, what that mean? Nobody told me what that meant. And so
What
there's
do
a
you think
23
it?
year
What do
old
you
brother that
think
I
it
know.
means? So curiously,
Just
what
what
do
she
you
told
think it
me,
means? So you do
just
think
what she
her
said.
definition, it resonated?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Of soul and in the wisdom that you have beyond your years, way beyond years. That's why it's hard to connect. So I'm talking with the 23-year-old here and connecting, our essence connecting. I love connecting. He said somebody told him he had also. So he also has a way, and he said it's hard to connect with people his age. And he's talking to the person who gets it. I get it. I get it. And I also had fun and understood and wanted to be around them because their conversations resonated with me, or whatever I was hearing or listening to, because I was a great listener. So with that being said, his place said we are one. And so when we talk about social cohesion and the things when it comes to love, is that you have to understand that together we are one love. And when we talk about the essence of love, because we have that in it, there might be some souls that came out here to do some other stuff to try to disrupt the love of the souls in here, but that's where the awareness comes. That's where the awareness comes in. And understanding when that force tries to penetrate, which is it's like an example is negative self-talk. That don't serve you at all. And we all know it. It's an ego thing. And if you've been like I have been protected of having to be protected most of my life, the ego's done it. It's like, oh, now you want to step out? Now you want to do this? Now you want to go on social media? You want to do a YouTube so everybody can see you? Girl, yeah, that. I was like, yeah, yeah, we doing that with a little help from a friend. So yeah, so,
Whose ego is also talking to her too. So
right, right. So
imposter
we look.
syndrome.
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, and then like I want to get the music. I'm so moved by it and the love. So you look at people then here's the when you go out, here's a huge, I don't know if you didn't locked up. Yeah, you did. Are comfortable. There is a certain criteria of love that goes across the room. Music, connection, the love that everybody in this room is essing with, whether you're individual drafts, whether you draft with somebody you don't know, and whether you're sitting watching somebody dance, especially hand dancing, slow dancing. If y'all don't know what that is, look it up. All this styling and profiling. So, you're learning from it. You're just learning from people. You just learn it. Um, and and just being in that moment of having a good time. Now that ain't for everybody. That's an example, however you choose to use it. But yeah, dancing, doing the house, doing these things, going to a show, even traveling, you run into a unique kind of love traveling. And people you meet and the conversations that are had. And then you find out the commonalities that you have,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of race, creed, gender, or background.
Yeah.
And you connect in a loving way. My mother connected with somebody. We were out getting some, I had to make a pit stop, and this woman and her just connected. You would think, and I can never, you think they've known each other forever. That's just cool shit. You know, love on
Yeah.
a
You talking.
social
So what
basis.
you're calling is called universal love.
Yeah,
So I have like this list of the different types of love, and that what you're
yeah,
speaking of falls under the universal love category of like that selfless, unconditional love that
I like it.
goes beyond like that personal attachment. So kindness, empathy, it's the
Yes,
love for humanity and the world around you, essentially.
yes.
Mm.
Write that down exactly. I connect with universal love. So yeah, traveling, going out and meeting, and then it's just a whole different people who travel, no matter what their economical status is. It's just so cool. I mean, if people like in rural certain areas can just get out, if people could just get out and meet people and stop looking in and making assumption and letting, toxic things pass on from generation to generation, you have a pretty cool universe to be in.
Yeah, we would, but I'm also reminded too of like what I say, and I know I don't mean to be like doom and gloom. I'm just the person that speaks in truth and reality.
Got you.
That
Appreciate it.
everyone lives a different reality. Some people are sensing what's going on right now and they don't see it as a problem. Um and and to
That's
not
very true.
judge why, I think some people have been through shittier, more fucked up situations than this. And from our perspective, it may be like, what could be more shittier and fucked up than this for
Then
us?
this,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
and for
yeah.
some people, they can give you a list as
Mm,
well.
I don't like it. I can't keep them this.
Well, I
Yeah,
think it's just life experiences. You have a list. You have a list of stuff that you can pull out for certain occasions. I'm
well, that's
pretty sure
true.
you can. You've
Oh Lord,
lived
yes.
long enough. You have a list. Whether you remember the nuance and like the finite details of the list, yeah, for sure. Not that.
But
Um,
to do the teaching, I have to have it, and I'm pulling out more stories, so that's what I have to sit with
let's
right
talk
now.
about familial love. So
Oh, family.
I feel like this is an area where I have it on the two extremes. I have the familial love of like, I love my family. I feel so loved by my family. But then I have like familial love that's not love, where, I have like this rejection that I'm sensing and feeling from my father. And so familial love is the
Won't you
affection
fuck
and
that up?
attachment that's felt between like family members, and it involves unconditional care and a sense of loyalty and responsibility and nurturing when I'm speaking of familial love. And so I think this is also the area where a lot of people have challenges in feeling the
Mhm.
love in that area. And I think for me, I can relate because I have it on such extremes where I have a mom who's the she's the first love of my life. Really is. Like she is like this constant demonstration of what unconditional love looks like. Like she may be like, okay, why did you do that? But at the same
Mhm.
time, she's not kicking you out the house.
Right, 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 right,
You
right,
know, she's
right.
asking for clarity so she can figure out how do we make a plan, because my mom's Taurus, and you know they're all about like plans and like the details. I need the details so we can make a plan and have a backup plan for that
Ask
plan
the
too.
questions too. Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm. I'm a little familiar,
So,
but yeah.
and then my brother, I have such a beautiful relationship with my brother to the point where a lot of times people look at how much we love each other and they're like, are you guys a couple? And we're like, no. But
Remember you
we
saying that?
have such a sense of love for each other where
Yeah, that's
we
awesome.
both agree that we are the only people that could like my brother could there's nothing he could do to break that bond.
Mm,
And
mm-hmm,
and
mm-hmm.
also he's the one person, like if he calls, I'm always going to answer no matter what. And I'm the same for him, but that's not the same how we apply it to the people outside of me and him. And it kind of, I think it irritates some of his family unit people. Like, oh,
Mm.
you always answer when your sister calls, but you don't with me. And he's like, yeah, you're right. And
Ah,
but on the flip side of it, with my dad, that's the real that's where I learned what heartbreak looks like. I understood that I learned from him that love shouldn't be conditional, because I learned from him that that's how he gives love, through very conditioned ways and means. And I it was a painful experience of feeling into how in conflict my soul was on a soul level. I was like, that just doesn't feel right to have to hold love in such conditions, that the bar was constantly being moved, where it's like, I'm never going to be able to meet your conditions because they're
mhm.
constantly changing. And I got to the point where it's like, and you know what? I don't want to meet them. I just don't want to meet them.
Yeah, yeah,
But it
yeah.
still is a lot. It's still like my heart is very tender around that relationship with my dad. And
Hmm.
it's the one that I have gotten to the point where I realize I have to accept where it is right now. And I'm open to it being something better and greater. It's also the relationship where I've learned a lot about myself and the importance of seeing your parents beyond them being your parents, and and giving them permission to be who they are. And I've learned the power of forgiveness through that relationship.
Hmm.
And you know, I can go into detail in another relationship, another episode, maybe when we go into like family dynamics or something like that. So
Yeah.
that's my experience with familial love. You know, I have it on the two extremes, and I know it's one that a lot of people are challenged with. And I think this is serving as a reminder of healthy family dynamics and what familial love really can be centered in.
Oh, girl.
I know.
I don't.
This is a
I'd rather
hard
go.
one.
I'd rather go into talking about platonic love right now.
Okay. So we're going to go
Yeah.
into the next one. I feel like this can be an episode all on its own. Seriously. And maybe we can
Well,
provide some tools to kind of help navigate through those relationships. Because it's a
yeah.
very challenging area.
Well, they said family. I mean, because of the closeness and the blood, and then what has been passed down, far as is concerned. Because not all family is blood. Not all blood is family.
Hmm.
So that's
Hmm. Girl, what you talking about? But then it leads into what you're saying too, like how your friends are like, what's the saying? Your friends are the family you get to choose.
that's right. That's right.
There you
That's
go.
right.
I'm gonna double down on what you said and bring it back to um where I feel the most important focus should be. You know, you said get to know somebody before you get into somebody. I'm gonna take that and say get to know yourself before you get into somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because all the
That work
different
should be
things that
first.
we've talked about and just kind of processing through, like thinking through your shares and just kind of having my own revelations, it's just reminding me of, you know, how people were constantly in judgment
Yes.
from the perspective that we have in terms of the love of self and the understanding and the acceptance of who we are as individuals. And from that awareness, from that acceptance, from our capacity to give ourselves love through all of that truth seeing, we extend that out in how we get into being in love with other people through these other connections that we were talking about.
Yeah.
It goes back to the love of self
Yeah.
and and also just the other universal love one too. I think we all could do a little
Yeah.
bit better on working on that one for sure. Being less quick to judge people and demonizing and weaponizing our words against people who
Yes.
may choose to be in relationships with people at different levels that makes sense for them, that honors the love of self that they have and that awareness and acceptance.
Yeah. I think doing the work within you and loving yourself as a fool is more important than trying to have somebody feel something that they can't feel. Because somebody, always will not be happy. They'll be disappointed, or something is going on, because you're never ever going to be able to do right by them if they're not whole within themselves. And I know that from personal experience.
Same, same.
You
Thank you
know,
guys for
hanging in.
hanging in there. I have to see about if this may be broken down to. I feel like we kind of have a bonus option here, so we'll see. But thanks for watching. Let us know your feedback. I don't even know what question
Yeah.
to pose to people. Um,
Well, it was about what, yeah. Just get your intake on, just give us some feedback on what you thought about the episode.
yeah.
Um, yeah, it's all about
What
joy.
was
It's
your
all about,
most? What was your greatest takeaway? Because I feel like this
there
episode
you
was
go.
like riding out like all over the place, beautifully so. So
Yeah,
that's the
that's the
takeaway.
question. What's your takeaway?
All
Yeah.
right, everyone. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already and share this video. Comment down below, give it a like, and we hope to see you on a future episode.
Much love, y'all. Always.
Bye.
Peace.